Hello, everyone. This is Vespera. Welcome to ChronoRoyals. Today, we're standing up for something deeper than just a word. We're taking a stand against how racism is being weaponized for personal gain. This is the heart of our racism movement. Racism is spelled Raycism, the racism movement, where we fight false narratives and truth, clarity and courage. We're calling out figures like Meghan Markle and others who use their skin color not for unity, but as a shield for privilege, sympathy, and power. We believe in justice, real justice, and I believe that real justice means honesty. It's time to challenge the lies and reclaim the meaning of dignity, identity, and self-worth. So, if you see the vision, join us. Like, share, comment, and participate in the discussion. Even if you don't agree, challenge my point of view. Watch our other videos, join the conversation, and help spread the truth. Everyone is invited because you know what? Real unity starts with truth. And so, without any further delay, let's get into it. This section is titled Meghan Markle's Convenient Excuse for Failure. Okay? Because the war against racism is a just and noble cause. But when someone exploits it for personal gain, it dilutes the struggle of those who have truly suffered. You know, Meghan Markle has mastered this exploitation using the quote-unquote race card to justify her own personal and professional failures. But the reality is simple. Race was never her true battle, you see. Commitment was. She did not want to commit to the role she married into, the role she consciously married into. She did not want to commit to the role of duty and the expectations that came with being a working royal, not just within the British monarchy or the institution of the royal family of Britain, but within the institution of monarchy itself, becoming a working royal member of a monarchy, the system of the monarchy. So we have to look big on a more of a really global platform, okay? When it came down to it, she walked away, not because she was mistreated for her race. Let's not get that twisted, okay? But because she did not want to live up to the responsibility of it all. When it came down to it, when she realized that she wasn't there just to be pampered and look pretty, when she realized that she actually had to do work and she wasn't being catered to in the ways that she wanted to be, she flipped dimes and then she pulled a race card. So to put it into perspective, I am going to give you, once again, I love to put these parts of history into these segments of our discussions because they are proofs and examples and receipts, proven facts and receipts of history. And, I like to also talk about other cultures as well because I am a racist with a Y. And so I love to immerse myself in different cultures and backgrounds and stuff like that. And me and history, I love history anyways. And so to put this into perspective, let's compare our famous, most infamous Meghan Markle to another American woman who married into royalty. Okay. And so today, we're also going to talk about another queen that I grew up somehow admiring tremendously for precisely the cultural shift. Okay? And that is Queen Noor of Jordan. Their stories serve or will serve as a stark contrast. One demonstrating grace, sacrifice, and genuine commitment to a whole new life, while the other exposes self-interest, victimhood, and entitlement. Queen Noor was born Lisa Halaby. She was an American woman who married King Hussein of Jordan, okay? She did not just marry into royalty, but she fully immersed herself in Jordanian culture, converted to Islam, and took on enormous responsibility of becoming a queen, of being a queen. And this was a huge shift in her life. Okay? We're not just talking about going one country to another. We're talking about an entire different world, point of views, views of life, points of views from a complete different side of the universe, you know? And so she worked tirelessly for her adopted country, embracing its people, its values, its traditions. Her role was not merely just about luxury and privilege and being queen of Jordan, but it was about duty and service. And she too represented a legacy beyond herself. She also represented in her own ways America, because she was an American woman. And boy, did she make Americans proud. You know what I mean? Like, man, talking about being represented. This is representation. This is how you come from one culture, one country, and you can immerse and transform yourself and adapt to the demands of the role you're married to, you know? And so even after her husband's death, and I'm just making big generalizations and I'm not really going into the details, but just so that you understand the backdrop before we go forward, okay? Even after King Hussein's death, Queen Noor, she tried to uphold his legacy, you know, but as we know, power is never static, and so ultimately, she lost influence as the Hashemite succession moved forward without her son, because originally, well, Queen Noor has mothered or has had 4 children with King Hussein, and so her eldest son was thought to be the crown prince to take or to ascend the throne eventually. But at the end of his life, King Hussein had changed his mind as he selected his eldest son from his first wife to be his successor. You know? And so what happened? Well, despite this personal loss, Queen Noor did not cry victimhood. She did not claim that being white, being American made her an outsider. She did not use the racism card. And she certainly did not use her background to seek global sympathy. She accepted the reality of monarchy. She accepted her fate. It is not about personal wants, but about the greater institution. She had married a king, not just a man, you know, and that reality carried weight. Now, contrast this with Meghan Markle today. How much she's whining about titles and security and how Meghan won't get security because and no title. Shut the fuck up, bitch. Look at the contrast here, you know? She married into the British royal family. She was given every opportunity and was embraced by the institution. But instead of adapting, she demanded the institution change for her. Instead of embracing duty, she pursued personal branding. Instead of sacrificing, she expected special treatment. And when she did not get it, she played the race card. And this is where the crucial difference lies. Queen Noor, she faced real loss and hardship, but never blamed it on external forces. Meghan Markle, on the other hand, has used her mixed race identity as a shield against any criticism of her failures. Meghan and her defenders claim that she was driven out of the royal family due to racism. But let's be clear, her downfall was not because of the color of her skin, but because of her character, her choices, and her inability to commit where it truly mattered. Because if race were truly the issue, why was she given a globally televised royal wedding, complete with a gospel choir, a black bishop, and the entire British establishment celebrating her union with Prince Harry? Answer that. If race were the reason of her struggles, or for her struggles, why did she and Harry receive an entire household of 2.4 million taxpayer-funded home renovation and global adoration at the start of their marriage? Because I adored her. I adored both of them at the beginning. If race was truly the problem, why did she have every single tool at her disposal to craft a powerful and inspiring legacy, only to squander it by choosing victimhood over perseverance? The answer is clear. Meghan was not a victim of racism. She is not a victim. She was a casualty of her own arrogance and refusal to adapt. Period. But let me ask you this. Why do people fall for the race bait? Why? Because it is an easy, lazy narrative. It absolves Meghan of all responsibility and shift blames to an institution that has functioned for 1,000 years with far stricter traditions than just race. It gives her a global platform for grievance politics, ensuring that no matter how much she fails, she can always blame it on the invisible enemy. And this is a dangerous precedent. Because when someone like Meghan Markle uses racism as a shield for personal failures, it cheapens and degrades real struggles faced by people of color. It turns genuine racial issues into a smokescreen of selfish ambition. It convinces people that any criticism of her behavior is automatically racist, shutting down real conversations about accountability, responsibility, and personal agency. Aren't those the very same things Meghan Markle talks and her and Prince Harry talk about all the time? They're always screaming accountability, responsibility, and personal agency. Well, look, why are you using the race card? That is not a valid thing to do. You don't use the race card. You don't get to use race as a weapon. Not anymore. Not this day and age. And it should not even be accepted. So why is it being accepted? That's my question. And so going back to Queen Noor for a quick second, although it was no longer in power, she remains a respected global figure. She embraced her adopted country, she served her people, and never used victimhood as an excuse. Meghan Markle, on the other hand, she has built her entire post-royal identity on grievance. She has spent more time complaining about the royal family than she ever did working for it. Her legacy is one of victimhood, not of service, certainly not of leadership. And yet, millions still fall for the narrative that her failure is due to racism. And that, my friends, is the true tragedy. Meghan Markle's story is not one of racial injustice. Let's get that completely out of the way. It is not one of injustice because of so many reasons that people refuse to see. And that is not through a fault of their own. It's because they're already blind. They've been blinded. And here I am trying to unblind them. You know, Meghan Markle's story is one of personal failure, repackaged as oppression. It is time to reject this excuse, to stop rewarding those who weaponize identity for personal gain, and to recognize that true success is built on resilience, responsibility, and commitment, not playing the victim when things don't go your way. You know, because if Queen Noor could dedicate her life to duty despite personal setbacks, Meghan Markle could certainly have done the same, if not better. Because Queen Noor was from the previous era, so a previous mindset, and now we're in the 21st century, and with all these tools, especially considering the fact that Meghan always proclaims herself as having studied international relations and this and that and this and that. She should have truly known how to deal with the problem of racism. She should have embraced it and flipped it around and turned it into a beacon of hope, instead of freaking creating this nightmare and continue to feed into this false narrative that people should be oppressed when we're no longer in an oppressed world. And people still fall for it. I know, and I don't get it. I don't. So this next part here is what I call a message to the Sussex faith defenders. Let me get this straight. The only reason you people think Meghan Markle is worth defending is because, and I quote, "She's so pretty." Pretty? Like, really? That's the bar now? If Meghan Markle is your definition of extraordinary beauty, I hate to break it to you guys, but your standards are as low as her product launches. Let's not kid ourselves. She's not Cleopatra. She's not Helen of Troy. She's barely a brochure tier in the realm of royalty. And oh my god, Meghan Markle is so smart. Please. If copying Diana's outfits and trademarking a failed jam brand counts as brilliance, then the bar for genius has officially hit rock bottom. You're not defending a revolutionary. You're defending a reject. You shout things like, "You're just jealous. She got a prince, that's why." No, darling. We're actually more jealous of Catherine, if anything, because Catherine got William, a real man. She got the future king, a man with purpose, dignity, vision, and discipline. Harry is a boy who traded his own crown for a leash, a man who doesn't even know the value of his own bloodline. He can't possibly have that much value to you, does he? I mean, And I hate to break it to you, ladies, but we want a man, not a rescue house pet with a podcast mic and a chipped ego. Okay? Let's get to your minds, or rather, the lack thereof. You cannot construct a sentence without a curse word. That's what I've noticed about you Sussex people. Every argument ends with F off or toxic people or y'all racist. Newsflash, your vocabulary exposes your IQ. You scream oppression, but oppress yourselves daily by refusing to evolve your words, your thoughts, your expectations. You, Sussex defenders, are the living proof that mental slavery is alive and well. You are not standing up for Meghan. You're kneeling under her designer heels, and the soles are dirty with your struggle, with your tears, with your sweat, with your color. She took your pain, your centuries of being overlooked, underestimated, mistreated you, and she turned it into a Netflix deal and a $19 jam jar. She's not your voice. She's your parasite. And worst part is, you fell for it. You gave your trust to a woman who could not even give her own father a phone call. You know what I mean? And of course, her father and her is going to be a discussion for another day. But overall, still her father. Regardless, the man who gave her life, pretty much, she does not exist without his blood. She is a woman who disowns her blood just as much as Harry disowns his blood. So obviously, two brainless people get together and look what happened. And they call themselves leaders? Please, 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 please. This woman, she weaponized your trauma. She wore your struggles like couture and crashed hard. But at the same time, she cashed in without giving you a single dime, a single crumb of her pie. Tell me, what has Meghan actually done for you? What has she built? Who has she uplifted? Let me answer that. Nobody. Nothing. Nada. And you know what? Her inspiring you to arrange fruits on a cutting board in the shape of a rainbow, that does not count as inspiring. That does not count as uplifting, okay? If you think that's inspiring, then we still have a lot of work to do, okay? But the bottom line here is, you don't even realize that you're not even part of a movement. You're in a cult of delusion, a digital daycare full of tantrums, gifs, and broken grammar. You act like you're fighting for justice when in reality you're just fangirling over failure. So here's what I propose you instead. Here's my proposition to you, Sussex defenders. It's time to evolve. Time is of essence. It is time to embrace racism. RAYCISM. Yes, racism spelled with a Y. Why, you might ask? Well, because it's about you, about your worth, your light, your evolution. Racism with the Y is the belief in earned value, not of victim points. It is the practice of pride without pain and the rejection of performative activism in favor of actual purpose. It's about choosing legacy over likes, impact over hashtags, over tabloids, over PR puffs, PR moves, and truth over tears. So I ask you, are you a fan of Meghan Markle or just addicted to misery dressed up as empowerment? Are you defending her or hiding behind her? Have you really seen what she's done with your struggle, or are you too blind with borrowed pain to even notice what she has done to you? Hello? Wake up. Speak better. Think sharper. Don't be a sugar. Be a racist with a Y, with pride, with purpose and precision. Because evolution does not come with emojis, okay? It doesn't come with F-offs and toxicity and da-da-da-da. It comes with truth, and truth comes from within. You need to enlighten yourself within before you can even dare to speak of truth. And it's about damn time you start living in it, you know? Let's go deeper, shall we? Let's talk about you guys a little bit deeper, the sugars, the keyboard warriors, the Sussex faith defenders, the broken hearts, living vicariously through Meghan Markle as if she's your revenge fantasy come to life. She married a prince, so you think she won. Big deal. She makes headlines. Oh, so you think she's a queen, that she's, living life and she's so good, this and that. She's in the headline for all the wrong reasons, and you guys still acclaim her for it. Let me ask you something. Has Meghan paid a single one of your bills? Has she visited your community or even said your name once? Has she even acknowledged you? Has she invited you to her private screenings? Even in her private screening in New York recently, not a single person of color in her show. Not a single person of color that she somehow associates or identifies as. The only people of color I've seen are Asians. Because even Mindy Kaling is considered an Asian. Indians are considered Asians, okay? She's not black. And Chef Roy and all the other girls, all women, they're Asians. There was not a single person of black color. Why? Ask yourself that question. Why? Did she bring light into your culture or just leech off your pain to play princess while you sit on Twitter calling strangers trash in her defense, sending people death threats in her defense? You think you're on a moral crusade? Nah. You're just part of the delusion industry. You scream racism, but what you're really doing is worshiping a woman who would not even hire you to water her grass, pick up her trash. She made millions off of your sympathy. And what did you get? Blocked, ignored, and left to rot in her comment sections like discarded fan fiction. You don't matter to her. And let's get painfully honest. If Meghan Markle looked like the woman working at a DMV, would you still be obsessed if she was the person working at, the movie theater? Would you still be that obsessed? Would you be standing up for her the way you're standing up? No, you're just obsessed because she's married into royalty. And yeah, you keep saying that royalty is bad. And obviously, if she wasn't half white, half black, married to royalty, and didn't have a glam team, would you still be convinced that she's a visionary or a leader? Or are you truly just projecting your own insecurities onto her like a blank canvas? Because that's what Meghan is, a projection screen for broken people who don't want to fix themselves, who don't even know where to begin, who are too comfortable calling the race card and the race bait to even want to change themselves. She sold you a fantasy and then bailed when it came to deliver. She used you and you thanked her for it. And here's the sickest part. Deep down, you've been played. Deep down that sometimes you're embarrassed when she has these embarrassing moments. Deep down that the Mexicans, the Mexican communities, they got too many receipts for you to fight. So you just pull the race card because you got no receipts to come back. None of you are intelligent enough to truly come forward with true receipts, true facts. Deep down inside that you've been played. But you know what? You are too prideful to admit it. So what do? You double down. You curse louder. You defend harder. You lie more. You sink deeper. Well, you know what? Let me and allow me to offer you rope out of this black pit of darkness you live in. Okay? Racism is not just a system. It is a state of mind. And Meghan Markle has colonized your mind worse than any empire ever did. You are so desperate to believe that someone like you, quote unquote, made it. And so you'll excuse anything. You will ignore all the lies, the family betrayal, the failed projects, the blatant manipulation, the mass falls, all that stuff. And you're not truly fighting racism. You're feeding it. You're feeding into it by letting someone pretend to be your savior while she's laughing all the way to the bank and you are still being oppressed. Not by chance, but this time, in this lifetime, at this very moment, by choice. You are oppressed by choice, not by chance. And if you cannot find the power within yourself to walk away from all this farce, then you are no longer oppressed. I promise you that. You are possessed. You are possessed by a fantasy. You are possessed by victimhood. You are possessed by a woman who played you and your trauma like a piano, like a tiny violin, and left you off key and out of tune. But if you're ready to wake up, truly ready to wake up, then listen carefully. It is time to stop being a sugar and start being a racist with a Y. R-A-Y-C-I-S-T. Because racism, R-A-Y-C-I-S-M, is the future. Racism with a Y is the future of humanity. It needs to be. It must become. If humanity is to survive, then racism with a Y is the answer. It is about self-worth without shame. It is about pride without pity. It's about intelligence over impulse, empowerment without exploitation. It is the art of knowing who you are. Not because someone told you you were oppressed, but because you looked in the mirror and you remembered you were born unstoppable before anyone ever tried to tell you otherwise. So ask yourself, are you truly proud of who you defend? Or are you scared of what you'd have to face if you admitted that she used you? Are you willing to evolve in this 21st century? Or do you simply want to stay as an unevolved chimp? Or are you comfortable being the unpaid, uncredited foot soldier of a woman who ghosted everyone in her previous circle? Of a woman who sent her wedding ring back through FedEx? Of a woman who today doesn't have any single ties with any of her previous friends from high school? And that includes you. She will discard you. As a matter of fact, she's not going to discard you. She doesn't even acknowledge you. And you know what? Racism with a Y does not need approval from the old world. Okay? Racism with a Y is a new world of its own. It's the New Testament. Accept it. Read it. Read my scripture. Hear my voice, my message. Hear my plea. Judge my vision. Because here on this planet, we should not be living in this old mentality anymore. Here with racism with a Y, we don't burn down bridges. We build them. We design golden staircases and we climb. But we don't climb alone. We climb together. We need to climb together. Okay? Meghan Markle is not your role model. She is your reminder. A reminder that not everyone with your skin tone is on your side. A reminder that true royalty is earned, not married into then monetized on Spotify, So stop being a groupie for grifters. Stop being an excuse. Stop screaming into the void with a broken record, broken logic, and start practicing the most radical act of resistance there is, self-respect. So, welcome to Racism with a Y, the revolution of evolved minds, of those who no longer want to be oppressed, of those who are free. Get on this freedom flight with us onto the world of racism with a Y. Now the question is, will you keep clinging to this collapsing fantasy, or will you rise and stand up for yourself? Your dignity is waiting. So join the movement. So this is where we land, sugars, Sussex faith defenders. You were not protecting a woman of color. You were protecting a con artist in couture gowns. You did not build a safe space. You built a sandbox for adult toddlers to cry in while Meghan Markle laughed behind every velvet curtain. The way she did. Like that, you know? You say she inspires you? How? By ghosting her own father, by monetizing pain she never lived through, by marrying a prince, trashing his family, and building a brand off of broken bonds, by transferring pretzels from one bag to another, by arranging fruits like a rainbow on a cutting board. What is the inspiration you're talking about? You know, obviously it doesn't take much to entertain or inspire you, but truly, you know, my question is genuinely honest. What has she inspired in you? You've called us every single name in the book. Okay? You've called us jealous, haters, racist, toxics, deranged people. But now I ask you this. What are you? What are you? You're a foot soldier for someone who wouldn't even hold the door open for you. You're a warrior for a woman who would not even let you sit at her table. You know, you're a keyboard defender for a duchess who sells jam instead of justice. You're so desperate to feel seen, you let her borrow your pain and sell it like it was her own. But you know what? Let's be clear on something. Let me enlighten you. She did not free you. She fed on you. She did not free you from any oppression. Instead, she pushed you even further into it. She makes you now believe that you're even more oppressed than people were in the 18th century. She danced on your suffering and made it fashionable. She took your scars, the scars of your mother, of your grandmother, of your great-grandparents, and made them a storyline with her narrative. And the sad part is, you clapped. You clapped. You cheered for your own exploitation. And now here you are, bitter, broken, and blind to your own betrayal. Let that sink in. What would your ancestors think of you? Did they suffer that much for you to still feel this oppressed today? Ask yourself that question. I'm going to ask you again. What are you? We could be all these names you call us, but I've got receipts for everything I say. Because I have my personal conviction. Because I have my own belief. You know? But what do you believe in? You believe in being oppressed. You don't believe in freedom. Because you're a prisoner of your own mind. And you let her continue to put you further and further into this dark hole. And you don't see the light anymore. So let me shed some light onto you. You know? Let that sink in. You were used. And if that doesn't make you sick to your stomach, it should. So here's your moment. This moment right now, right here. This is your evolution check. Because real racism, it is not just in institutions. It is in the mindset that tells you your pain has to be profitable to be valid. It is in the belief that your worth only matters when someone wears it like a costume. So you have a choice. You do. You have a choice. You either keep bowing to a woman who will not recognize you without your username, or you rise up and you reclaim what was always yours. Your voice, your vision, your values, your color, your pride. You know, because this isn't about her anymore. This is about you. So, welcome to Racism with a Y. Where here we don't kneel for pity. We stand for power, for unity. One color cannot shine without the other. We are humans. We all bleed the same color, for heaven's sake. If you bled blue and I bled red, that would be different. If he bled green and she was bleeding purple, sure, let's debate. But as far as I'm concerned, even animals bleed red. So we're not too far from each other, you know? So let's start to have some respect for our roots and start honoring each other's cultures and differences and colors. That's what a rainbow is, isn't it? And you think Meghan Markle inspires you with a rainbow? Please. She does not inspire you with rainbows. Trust me. Trust me. So here, obviously, like I said, we don't whine, we win. We don't cancel, we create. And we don't follow false pretend queens who build on our own thrones. Because this here is your invitation. Leave the cult. Drop those fake hashtags. Stop defending the manipulator. And start becoming the racist with a Y that you were born to be. Okay? And so if after all this, all of that, you still worship Meghan Markle, then congratulations. You are not oppressed. You are not enlightened. You are not fighting for justice. You are brainwashed, my friend. And if after all this, after all the lies, the betrayal, the brand collapses, after watching her commodify your trauma, abandon her own blood, and milk your sympathy like it's almond milk at Whole Foods, you still look at her and see the Messiah of the 21st century, then I have news for you. My sweet sugar swirled sponge cake, waffle sugar cake. You are the lowest form of mental peasantry. You are not woke. You are asleep with your thumb in your mouth, clutching a copy of the bench like it's scripture, like it's the 10 Commandments. You are the groupie of grift, the cheerleader of a cult, the evangelist of empty virtue. You're out there praising a woman who has achieved nothing of substance except escaping responsibility with designer luggage and a Spotify flop. You know, you don't believe in progress. You believe in celebrity cosplay. You're not a freedom fighter. You're a clown in a crown, dancing in a digital circus, throwing peanuts at anyone who dares to speak the truth like me. You want to be empowered? Then why are you idolizing someone who's built her identity on being a victim? You want liberation? Then why are you following a woman who liberated herself from work, duty, family, and integrity, as well as accountability? You know? Let me be brutally honest and clear. If Meghan Markle is your Messiah, then you are a church or the church of broken mirrors. You worship your own wounds, not wisdom. You entertain your own scars. You light candles at the altar of your own insecurity. And frankly, you deserve every single drop of that Kool-Aid you've been drinking. You do. But if this hurts, if my words hurt you, if my words touch you, then it's good. It means your soul is not fully dead yet. It means your spirit is still alive and it's trying to stay alive. It means that the dark side has not completely taken over the good side of your spirit or your soul yet. It means that the spark of truth still flickers in that fogged up mind of yours. And it means that there's still time to evolve. There's still a chance and all is not lost. So my dearest friend, my dearest human friend, regardless of your skin pigmentation, walk away from the altar. Throw down the prayer beads of performative wokeness Stop kneeling to a duchess who would never sit beside you at dinner, who would never welcome you in her world, and instead join a movement that puts you back on the throne of your own life, of your own narrative, of your own merit, of your own worth, of your own pride. Become a racist. Raycist. Woo! I'm saying it so much, I'm forgetting it now. Raycist. I gotta write a song about this. I gotta write a song and I'm gonna put a damn good song together. Become a racist. Raycist. Not a puppet, not a pawn, not a parrot for privilege dressed as persecution. A true racist with a Y, where you remember who you are, where you come from. Refuse to be emotionally manipulated and rise without rage. Just raw, unshakable. Be real. This is your exodus. Out of delusion, out of desperation, out of Meghan Markle's shadow. Now, go. Wash the glitter off your eyes, burn the fantasy, and let's build something that actually matters. The era of racism with a Y has begun. Let me make this clear, okay? My words, my fire, my fury towards Meghan Markle are now based on her looks, not on her skin tone, not on her race, and certainly not on some childish jealousy fantasy cooked up by some bored Twitter trolls, okay? My discussions, my point of views are bigger than all this. It goes deeper than all this, okay? This is not about what she looks like. It's about who she is, and more importantly, what she chose to become. You see, I don't measure people by titles or tiaras entirely. I measure them by the values they carry, the impact that they make, and the impact that they bring to humanity, to the world, and to my life, and whether or not they raise the collective consciousness of humanity, or drag it back into the mud dressed in designer clothes, Meghan Markle, despite the golden ticket she was handed, she chose the path of division over unity, of victimhood over valor, and of self-obsession over service. So no, I don't see her as a rare diamond. She's a jewel, yes, but one forged in darkness, a stone so enamored with its own sparkle that it cannot reflect light outward. It only sucks light from the inside in, but it cannot reflect its light outward. She's a woman born under the narcissism star. It is written in her DNA to be that way, and that's all there is to her. She's sometimes, I feel, not evil, not powerful. She's simply empty. She's a shell. She doesn't have a conscience that will dictate that even sometimes it's time to abandon certain things, She's an empty shell, and as someone of such global visibility, her emptiness is dangerous because people, when with no values gain influence, they begin to redefine worth, and when they do, obviously it turns out like this. We cannot afford that. Not now, not ever. We're done with this kind of narratives. She brings no value to humanity, but she does bring a very important reminder, okay? Why racism, the old racism, must be extinguished. She fascinates me on that point, and she is the fuel behind my drive to put an end to racism. It must be extinguished because when false prophets like her hijack the pain of others for profit, the only real victims are the ones who will no longer be believed when the truth actually matters. And this is why I speak. This is why I write my thoughts. This is why I express my thoughts. And even if this takes years, if it takes generations, even if it takes centuries before the human mind is ready to accept this concept, the truth of what I'm trying to seed into the ground today, then let this be my offering. If this is the only thing in my existence that I can make an impact with, then let this be my folly. Okay? This tiny seed of hope, of common sense, I plant into the soil of humanity, under the stars and in this galaxy. Let it be my contribution in my lifetime, in this lifetime. That somewhere, someday, someone will hear it, will look at it, will reflect on it. Someone with power, someone with major influence, someone whose voice reaches the ears that mine obviously cannot. Someone of value. Because yes, today, it seems people only listen to those with 1 million followers, Not people like me with only 300 followers, Nobody knows me, so nobody's going to watch this. Nobody's going to listen to this. And if I ever die before this vision comes to life, then at least it is in the internet, and the internet is forever. So maybe I will be known someday for putting this vision forth, and somebody else would have carried on the torch. I don't know. Time is of essence. Life is limited. We're not promised tomorrow. So, I may not see this vision in my lifetime, but maybe someday. And this is my little rebellion. This is my big rebellion. And yes, like I said, today people only listen to those with 1 million followers. And you know what? My comeback to you is, but revolutions rarely start with a crowd, you guys. They start with a whisper that refuses to die. And this whisper of mine, it refuses to die. As a matter of fact, it burns. It burns deep and it burns bright. And I want to share this light with you. So now go, pass it on. If you believe that racism means unity, if you believe that racism with a Y means being proud of your color and honoring other cultures and colors as well, if you believe that the old racism needs to be extinguished and make place to this new era of redefining what it means to be a human in the 21st century, then let's welcome racism with a Y together. Let's be proud racists. Let's practice what we preach, and let's love one another. In this lifetime, we don't have another chance. We only have this chance. So let's make it the best. And let's extinguish the old racism forever. Till next time, this is Vespra signing off. We'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.